It's 11:40 at night. You're not crying about anything in particular. You just pressed play on a song you've heard 50 times. And somewhere around the second verse, your chest tightens in a way that feels almost good. You didn't put it on to feel better. You put it on because some part of you wanted to feel this specific quiet ache. And you knew exactly which song would give it to you. That's strange. If you stop to think about it, nobody schedules a headache. Nobody browses a playlist looking for a stomach cramp. But sadness, the musical kind, we seek out on purpose. We build entire playlists for it. We save it for the drive home, for the shower, for the hour before sleep. Like it's something we're rationing. So the question isn't really why sad music feels good. It's why we go looking for sadness at all. Start with what your body is actually doing during a song like that. Your pulse doesn't spike the way it does with real distress. Your muscles don't tense for a threat that isn't coming. The nervous system seems to register the sadness of a song differently than it registers the sadness of a real loss close enough to feel it far enough not to be endangered by it. Researchers sometimes describe this as the difference between the emotion you feel for something and the emotion you feel about something you're only witnessing. You're not grieving. You're standing next to grief, close enough to touch it. That distance is the whole trick. It's why a song about heartbreak can move you even if your own heart is at that exact moment fine. You are borrowing an emotion that has no bill attached to it, but borrowing doesn't fully explain why. It feels like relief. There is a further layer, one that's been studied, but is still genuinely debated. Some scientists think a slow, sad piece of music can trigger a small release of prolactin, the same hormone associated with the calm that follows real crying, without you needing an actual event to cry about. Your body may be getting a rehearsal of comfort without requiring the tragedy that usually earns it. It's not settled science, and the effect isn't the same for everyone, but it points at something worth sitting with. Your body might not need a real reason to be soothed. It might just need the shape of one. Here's where it gets more personal than biology. Think about the last time you were genuinely sad, not wistful, not moody, actually low, and someone asked, "Are you okay?" And you said, "Yeah, I'm fine." Most of us do this. We compress the real thing down into something small enough to hand to another person without frightening them. We learn, early and thoroughly, that our sadness has to be managed for other people's comfort. A song doesn't ask you to manage anything. A song doesn't flinch. It doesn't need reassurance back. It doesn't wait for you to explain yourself. It doesn't require you to justify why you're not over it yet. It doesn't glance at the clock for 3 or 4 minutes. Someone or something is sitting with the exact feeling you've been performing your way around. And it isn't asking you to make it smaller. That might be closer to the actual mechanism than the hormone is. Psychologists who study this call it something like emotional validation without social risk. In real relationships, being fully sad in front of someone carries a cost. You might be seen as too much, too fragile, too hard to be around. A song can't judge you for how long you stay in the feeling. It has no opinion about whether you're handling this well. So maybe what you're actually chasing at 11:40 at night isn't sadness, it's permission, which raises an uncomfortable follow-up. If you need a song to give you permission to feel something, what does that say about the rest of your life, about the people in it, about how safe it actually feels to be low around them? This is where the mechanism starts to look less like a music trick and more like a mirror of something older. From childhood on, most of us are taught, rarely in words, mostly in reactions, which emotions are welcome and which ones make the room uncomfortable. Anger gets managed. Sadness gets rushed. It's okay. Becomes something we say to end a feeling rather than to acknowledge it. Over years, this doesn't disappear. It just moves underground and it waits for a place where it's allowed to surface without consequence. Music becomes that place, not because it's magical, but because it's the one relationship in your life that will never ask you to hurry up and be fine. And there is a further twist, one that complicates the neat story. If sad music were purely about comfort, you'd expect people going through the hardest periods of their lives to avoid it, to reach for anything upbeat, anything that pulls them out. Some do. But a significant number of people, especially during genuine grief or heartbreak, deliberately choose music that matches the pain rather than music that distracts from it. This is sometimes called mood-congruent listening. And on the surface, it looks self-destructive. Why would you want the song that makes it worse? Except it doesn't make it worse. What it seems to do for a lot of people is make the feeling legible. Undefined pain is disorienting. It has no edges, no shape, nowhere to put your hands. A song that names it, that gives it a melody and a structure and an ending, turns something formless into something you can actually hold. You're not choosing more pain. You're choosing a container for the pain you already have. That reframes the entire habit. The sad song isn't an escape from difficult feelings, and it isn't wallowing either. It's closer to translation. It takes something inside you that has no language and hands it back to you as something with a beginning, a middle, and this part matters an end. The song stops. The feeling, having been given a shape, can stop too, or at least soften. Compare that to how most of us actually process real pain, which is often the opposite of a song. No structure, no clear ending, no moment where it resolves. Just an open loop that runs in the background for days. Maybe that's part of why the song feels like relief. It's a rare experience in modern life that promises and delivers closure, even a small, fictional, 4-minute kind. There is a version of this that goes further into territory that's more philosophical than provable, that we don't actually go to sad music to feel sad at all. We go to feel accompanied. Somewhere in the lyric or the chord change, there is evidence that someone else has stood exactly where you're standing and lived to write a song about it. That's not therapy. It's closer to a very old, very human signal. You are not the only one this has happened to, which might be the real reason the habit exists in every culture that has ever made music. Not because sadness is enjoyable, because being alone with it isn't. So the next time it's late and you're not crying about anything in particular, and your thumb goes toward the same song, it always goes toward it. Might be worth noticing what you're actually asking for in that moment. Not distraction, not fixing, just company for exactly as long as the feeling needs to stay before it's ready to leave on its own. The song will end either way. That was always the arrangement. You just needed somewhere safe to let the feeling run its course. And for 3 minutes and 40 seconds, you finally had it.